Okay, ladies and gentlemen, application problems for factoring. Number 2, a farmer plants a rectangular pumpkin patch in the northeast corner of a square plot of land. So take a look at your picture. Okay, we have a square. It's telling you it's a square. One side is S meters long, the other one is S meters long, hence a square. And then in the northeast corner, we have a rectangular pumpkin patch. The area of the pumpkin patch is 600 square meters. So this is 600 square meters. What is the area of the square plot of land? Okay, so we know this is 600, and we want to find the area of the whole thing. And we know that the area of the whole thing is S times S, because the area of a rectangle is length times width. Now, I did this example last year, and I had a student answer me. He just used mental math, and he completely gave me the answer, and it was fantastic. And honestly, if you can do that in your head, great. But at the same point in time, I want you to at least pay attention to where we're going with this and what we're going to do with this. Because, in math, problems tend to get harder, and sometimes mental math doesn't work quite as well. So you're going to need a strategy if mental math is not working out for you. So I'm going to take a look at this, and I'm going to go, okay, well, I know the whole side is S. So I know this whole side over here is S. And I know right here is 30. But I don't know what this is. And the reason I'm trying to find this is because I know that this area right here is 600. So if I'm just looking right here, I'm kind of curious, and again, mental math is your friend here. What times what could be 600? Well, what times what could be 600? I could do 30 and 20. So if I did 30 and 20, it looks like this side's longer and this side's shorter. So 30 times 20 would be 600. And if I think about that, 30 and 30 makes 60. 40 and 20 makes 60. Oh, well, that's a square because 60 by 60. So that must mean 30 and 30, 60, 60. That must mean x is 60. So if I want the area of the whole thing, then 60 times 60 is 1200. So mental math here, if you're thinking 1200, I'm thinking 1200. But how would we arrive there if you're currently watching this video going, what the heck did she just do? I have no idea. Okay, so let's step back. Let's get rid of these numbers. Let's pretend we don't know that. Okay, and let's go back to our variables. We're going to solve for S. We're going to try to figure algebraically what this is. So the whole side is S. This is 30. What is this? Well, let's pretend here for a minute that I said that this number actually was like 100. If this is 100, the whole thing is 100, and this is 30. What's this? 70, right? Because 100 minus 30 is 70, or 70 plus 30 is 100. Okay, let's try again. What if the whole thing was like 80? So the whole thing is 80, this is 30. How much is this? 50. 80 minus 30 is 50. So now I'm going to say, okay, well, this is actually S. Well, then what's this? Well, S minus 30 is whatever that is. So guess what? This is just S minus 30. I don't know what it is, but it's S minus 30. Okay, same idea over here. The whole side is S, but I know this is 40. So what's left over? S minus 40. So now I'm going to take a look at my plot of land here that I have outlined in red. And I know that the area is 600. Well, how do you find area? Area is length times width. Well, I know the length out here in blue is S minus 40. And I know the width out here in red is S minus 30. So length times width equals area. Now I have an equation. Now I have to solve a polynomial equation. The strategy we have for solving a polynomial equation is the zero product property. Okay, well, the zero product property only works if this thing is equal to 0. Well, right now it's not equal to 0, it's equal to 600, and I don't have another strategy other than guess and check to solve that. So I need to get it equal to 0. Think about this. If you subtract 600 from both sides, can you subtract 600 from this? No, those are in parentheses. This is in factored form. So before I can actually subtract 600, I need to get this into standard form. So in order to get it into standard form, we're going to multiply it out. S times S, S squared. S times negative 30, negative 30S. Negative 40 times S, negative 40S. Negative 40 times negative 30, positive 1200. Equals, and just drop down the 600. Now, combine like terms. So I still have my S squared. Negative 30S minus 40S is negative 70S. Drop down your plus 1200 equals 600. At this point, I have the left side in standard form. The right side is still 600. But we already had this conversation. I don't want it to be 600. I want it to be 0. So I'm going to subtract 600. Now, if I subtract 600 from both sides, which part of this thing can you actually subtract 600 from? And the answer is the constant. So you're going to leave the S squared the same. You're going to leave the minus 70S the same. Then you're going to take 1200 minus 600 is 600 equals 0. And at this point, I finally have it equal to 0, but it's the zero product property. Well, product means multiply. Am I multiplying anything over here? No, that's add and subtract. Okay, so that means I need it back into factored form. Okay, so now we got to factor again. So we unfactored, got the 600 over, now we factor. Leading coefficient is positive 1. There is no greatest common factor, so we're going to multiply the first and the last number. Last number is 600, first number is 1, 600. Middle number, negative 70. Okay, at this point, I'm looking at what multiplies to 600. Whew. I'm hoping 60 times 10, but I want to get to negative 70. So negative 60 times negative 10 is 600. And negative 60 plus negative 10 is negative 70. Great. So we're going to rewrite the middle term. Negative 60, negative 10. Oops, and I forgot my S. Okay, so negative 60S minus 10S is negative 70S. And then we bring down. So I'm going to bring down my plus 600. I'm going to bring down my S squared. And technically, we should also bring down this equals 0. But if you drop it right now, I'm not going to scream at you. Grouping. And what comes out of the first two? We can take an S, record it, tell me what's left over. We have an S minus 60. Second two, negative 10S and 600. I can take a negative 10, record your negative 10, and then we have an S minus 60. Again, if you drop the equals 0 at this point, I'm not going to yell at you, but technically you should bring it down. Okay, take a look at your parentheses. S minus 60, S minus 60. They are the same. That's good. So we're going to take out an S minus 60. Record your S minus 60. Tell me what's left over. So in the first one I have an S. The second one I have a minus 10. Now at this point, you probably really need to bring that equals 0 back because we're factored, which is great. I got it in factored form, but this wasn't a problem saying get it in factored form. This problem said how much area is that square? Well, in order to find the area of the square, I need to know what S actually is. So now we're going to take our solving and put it with our factoring, and we're going to apply that zero product property. So S minus 60 equals 0. S minus 10 equals 0. On the first one, I'm going to add 60, and I'm going to get S equals 60. On the second one, I'm going to add 10, and I'm going to get S equals 10. Then I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at my answer in the context of my problem. So I have two answers, either S is 60 or S is 10, or S is both 60 and 10. Go look at your picture. Is S 60 or is S 10, or could it be both? If you're thinking S could be 10, if I put 10 here for this whole side length, what's the problem? The problem is that this is 40. How could just part of this side over here be 40 when the whole side down here is 10? Yeah, that can't happen. That is way, way too short. So in the context of this problem, S equals 10 does not make sense. Cross it out. So I'm going to go with 60. If this is 60 meters, well, that would be 40, which means 60 minus 40 is 20. Yeah, that would work. If this is 60 meters, okay, well that's 30, so 30 or 60 minus 30 is 30. Yeah, that'll work. So what is the area of the entire square plot of land? Well, it would be 60 by 60, which is 1,200 meters squared. Which, if you did that with mental math, fantastic. But again, at least try to follow this process and see what happens. Last one, number 3. The length of a rectangular game reserve is 1 mile longer than twice the width. The area of the reserve is 55 square miles. What is the width of the reserve? So again, you could probably start this one with mental math. Me personally, mental math doesn't work here for me. My brain just doesn't work that way. I know some of you it does. Mine doesn't. So I got to start breaking this down. Okay, first of all, it's the length of a rectangular game reserve. So I'm just going to use this rectangle here and I'm going to label it. So the length is 1 mile longer than twice the width. Okay, so width, that's the width. I'm going to put it as W. The length is 1 mile longer, which means add 1, then twice the width. Well, twice the width is twice the width, and then 1 mile longer is 1 mile longer. So I know the width is W, and I know the length is 2W plus 1. The area is 55, and I know the area is length times width. So length times width equals area. What is the width? Meaning, solve for W. What is the width? Okay, here we go. Now, once again, that's a polynomial expression. It's equal to 55. I have to figure out what letter, what is W so that I get 55. I could start guessing and checking there. I could put in a 5, a 6, a 7, an 8. I could figure it out. But I'm going to do this algebraically. So if I'm in factored form, I can use my zero product property. Once again, this isn't equal to 0. If I subtract 55 right now, it's not going to subtract from anything. That's a problem. So we're first going to get it back to standard form. 2W times W, 2W squared, plus W times 1, W, equals 55. Now I can subtract my 55, and even now, can that 55 subtract from anything? No. This is a W squared, this is a W, this is a constant. So we're just going to write them as 2W squared plus W minus 55 equals 0. Now at least I have this thing equal to 0, so I could use my zero product property. But in order to use my zero product property, I have to be in factored form. Okay, so now we factor. Leading coefficient is positive. That's good. Greatest common factor doesn't have one. Okay, so we go straight to multiply the first number by the last number. So 2 times negative 55 is negative 110. Add the middle number, positive 1. What multiplies to negative 110? Now, if you're not good with math, seriously, this is where you pick up your calculator and you take 110 divided by 2, 110 divided by 3, 110 divided by 4, 110 divided by 5, and you just start making a list, okay, until you find what you need. I'm going to go with 11 times 10, and then I need this to be negative, so one of these has to be negative. I need a positive 1, so I'm going to make the bigger number positive, smaller number negative. So 11 plus negative 10 is positive 1, and 11 times negative 10 is negative 110. Rewrite 11w minus 10w. 11w minus 10w is positive w. Great. Bring down your minus 55. Bring down your 2w squared. And again, equals 0, but I won't yell at you if you forget that. Grouping. First two, w. Record your w. Left over, 2w plus 11. Second two, negative 5. Record your negative 5. And then 2w plus 11. Look at your parentheses. Are they the same? Indeed they are. So we're going to take out a 2w plus 11. Record your 2w plus 11. And then tell me what's left over. So we've got a w. And we've got a negative 5. Now again, that's factored form. That's absolutely gorgeous. But the answer was, the question was, what is the width of the game reserve? Well, I don't know. That's not a width. That's a factored polynomial. So we have to solve it. Solve for w. Now we have our product. We have our 0. 0 product property, 2w plus 11 equals 0. W minus 5 equals 0. First equation, I'm going to subtract 11. So 2w equals negative 11. Then I'm going to divide by 2. Sorry, I'm trying to erase that and it's not working. Okay, divide by 2. So w equals negative 11 halves. Okay, which is like negative 5.5, but we can leave it like that. Second equation, add 5. W equals 5. Now, once again, we are dealing with a word problem. We're dealing with a real situation here. The question was, what is the width of the game reserve? Which one of these answers is invalid? Okay, you can't have a negative width of a game reserve. So yeah, that's a solution to the equation, but it's not a solution to the problem. So width equals 5, and then I'm going to go back up and look at my units here. We're dealing with miles. So what is the width of the game reserve? 5 miles. Don't forget your units. That I will yell at you about.